夠法定嘅人數，咁我哋要。
Right, good morning. We've got a quorum already. So let's invite the administration in. This is the Product Eco-Responsibility Amendment Bill 2013. So please invite the administration in, and while we are waiting for them, I would like to remind members that since our last meeting, we've received a paper. In fact, it's a submission from Greeners Action. It's our paper CB 1269 1314 bracket 01. It's about the early implementation of a comprehensive plastic shopping bag levy. So we will, and last time we asked the administration to provide us with some responses to our questions. And for the questions we raised, members can refer to paper CB 1223 1314 bracket 01. And I believe you've received the administration's written reply. So today we will discuss these outstanding issues, and I understand that some members have indicated that they would like to put in their own amendments. We haven't received them yet, but I think we still have time to discuss those amendments, and then we will need to complete the clause-by-clause scrutiny of the bill, and understand that we need to deal with the schedule. So today we have from the administration Mr. Albert Lam, Deputy Director of Environmental Protection. I believe members know him very well. And then Mr. Samson Lai, Assistant Director of Environmental Protection. Ms. Selina Lau, Senior Government Counsel. And finally, Ms. Chang, Senior Administrative Officer, EPD. So Mr. Lam, can you please respond to the queries raised last time? Yes, thank you, Chairman. We've already provided members of a paper, and I would like to address the 4 points in the paper. First of all, Para A, as I said last time, we would consider the style of drafting, and we will be giving members the CSAs at a later stage. And then Section 13A and Section 13B, we are also willing to provide CSAs for members' consideration. And then C, temperature-controlled food. Last time we discussed butter, and I will not repeat the content of our reply. All in all, we are willing to consider the arrangements. And then we want to know whether members have any preference, and in fact, we've got our proposal, and we would like to know the mainstream view of members. That would be helpful when we draft our CSAs. And then D, specifically designed. And I don't think I need to go through the content of this reply. Thank you. All right. Do members need to follow up on any of the points? Mr. Vincent Fang, on specifically designed. Yes, Chairman. I want to say something in relation to C, food items like butter. I want to say that if you need to look at which food items can be exempted and which food items cannot, if you are to go through all the food items one by one, that would make our clause-by-clause study more difficult. I hope that you can take a macro view. I understand that the objective of imposing the PSB levy is to try to discourage people from using plastic shopping bags. But then, as these bags are for carrying food, can you try to err on the lenient side? As you know, sometimes bags containing food items are sealed. This is for hygiene purpose and is to keep the food items fresh. Now, if the plastic bag is sealed and the food item is inside, and then you're saying that if there is one more plastic bag outside, then there cannot be any exemption. Now, I think what is important is that you should assess the effectiveness of the levy. If the usage rate has been reduced by 60% or 70%, then I think you should be more lenient in this matter, because people may say, oh, we don't want airtight packaging, and as a result, there will be hygiene problems. Very often for fresh vegetables, they are put in a plastic tray, and then there is airtight packaging. And you are saying that if the packaging, if it's airtight packaging, then you will not exempt the plastic bag outside. But what if there are 2 holes in the plastic tray for the water to be drained out? I think for food items, I think there should be exemption. I don't think having such an exemption will seriously jeopardize the effectiveness of the levy. And if we look at chilled chicken, chilled beef, chilled pork, what are you going to do with these? Now, because the water may come out, so you're saying that if you go to the market and you buy some chilled pork, and as the packaging is not airtight, then that plastic bag can be exempted from the levy. Now, I think the public understand that there is this levy. I think the situation has improved by, say, 70%, 80%, and I think that's already good enough. And I don't think you should be so stringent on this one, because I think this measure is really a nuisance to members of the public. Mr. Lam. Yes, Chairman. Now, under the bill, there won't be across-the-board exemption for food items. Now, for example, canned food. Now, they are these are all the air packaging is airtight, and so in the bill, we are proposing that the packaging needs to be taken into account in deciding whether an exemption should be granted or not. We agree with Mr. Vincent Fang that we can't come up with an exhaustive list of all food items. And so we've looked at different types of packaging, airtight packaging, canned food, and also heat-sealed packaging, and so on and so forth. In this paper, we're talking about temperature-controlled food, and we've received some views and comments from members. We'd like to have the mainstream view of this Bills Committee. Perhaps my colleague, Mr. Lai, can tell you more about alternative arrangements with regard to food items at room temperature. slide. Chairman, we're not proposing to have arrangements for each and every type of food. We have looked at the packaging of food items and also the hygiene concerns. And we know that some food items are temperature-controlled food items. And so in terms of the packaging, some products may not be qualified for exemption, but then these are temperature-controlled food items. For example, some chilled or frozen dim sum, and then a chilled can of soft drink. So that I want to say that this is another exemption criterion. So we need to look at this principle as well. We've looked at the existing legislation, and we are willing to consider whether we can make special arrangements for chilled food or temperature-controlled food. Now, for chilled food or frozen food, yes, sometimes the water, condensed water may come out. So for temperature-controlled food, we understand that different members of the public may have different considerations. So if the Bills Committee is of the view that there should be an exemption for such food items, then we will further consider providing a CSA to this effect. Mr. Vincent Fang, do you have any? Do you have other follow-up questions? I'll queue up again for the second round. Mr. Wu Chi-wai and then Ms. Sit Ho. Yes, Chairman, thank you. I want to tell members the CSA that I'm considering at the moment, but I want to say something about temperature-controlled food. Now, in stage 1, members of the public did use flat-top bags to carry ice cream or other chilled items. As to whether people get a plastic bag because a can of soft drink is chilled, I don't really think so. And so if the administration is to propose a CSA on temperature-controlled food, I would support that amendment.
I think there's an actual need, so we can take it under consideration. On the administration's response last time, I recommend adopting the standards we discussed last time. I recommend setting a standard that's for retailers which own at least one retail outlet in Hong Kong with an area of 100 meters squared or more. The government explained last time why this is not viable, and this is because of the differential treatment. At at this stage, the relevant retailers, they do not have to hand over the charges they receive to the government, and this is the spirit of the legislation. If you're worried about this differential treatment, since the scheme is implemented in phases, we can consider adopting another solution and adopt this policy in stages. The idea is to not have the levy forever, but to change people's habits. And this differential treatment actually exists in both the first and second phases, and now we are merely carrying forward the effects of the first phase to the second. We mentioned some pretty extreme cases last time, like if all the three retailers are newspaper vendors. And we actually have a mechanism in place for penalties. If we spot any infringements, we will perform checks. If we face challenges in the first phase, we will face the same challenges in the second phase. And as you all know, we are pinpointing retail chain stores. For example, boutiques and retail outlets in MTR stations, they are all retailers. They are all chain outlets. If for newspaper vendors, if they know there would be charges for PSBs, they would not give out plastic bags anymore. One last piece of opinion, and the administration mentioned on the record keeping, a lot of retailers would face difficulties. I just want to emphasize that we are not targeting small retailers. However, if we ask the retail outlets to keep their receipts, it will be helpful. A vast majority of plastic bags come from supermarkets, but the levy they received only consists of a small percentage of the total. And on the other hand, the amounts of plastic bags collected consists of take up a lot of space in the landfills. So if we have a sunset policy in place, it will be effective to address public queries. At this stage of the amendment, members should note the suggested CSAs. The next meeting will be on the 29th of November at 10:45 a.m. I hope members like Mr. Uchiwai can share their information with the members as soon as possible. We're not just talking about a policy, but an entire legislation, and we have to think about how we can stipulate the legislation effectively. Both members and the administration would need time to address the different issues. So thank you for the explanation. Over the last few meetings, we've been talking about how to carry out the PSB levy. On the amendment bill, I want to hear the legal advice's opinion on how on the implications of the amendment. Thank you, Chairman. I would like the administration to further explain paper CB bracket 1223/13214 bracket B. I would like the administration to explain the effects of repealing Section 1, bracket 1, bracket B. We're talking about the fifth paragraph. Last time we mentioned that the scope covered in Section 1, bracket 3, bracket B, actually the scope is actually larger than Section 1, bracket 3, bracket A. And a lot of food items are not included in 1, bracket 3, bracket B, and this clause is actually for catch-all purposes, and the bulk of our exemption of the scope of our exemption is actually covered under Section 1, bracket 3, bracket A. Section 1, bracket 3, bracket B is for catch-all purposes, and we have studied its viability. I want to quote Mr. Vincent Fang's example. We know that foodstuffs with airtight packaging, for example, sealed items, they would not be exempted. If we talk about items like sushi or foodstuffs with a plastic case or plastic base, under the current amendment, will these foodstuffs still be exempted? For foodstuffs with a plastic packaging with plastic wrap, according to our understanding, they are not airtight. Therefore, they would be exempted. I would like the administration to respond to Mr. Fang's question. Some foodstuffs might be packaged in different ways. Can you tell us after the amendment what would happen? Can you raise your voice a little bit? Are you talking about exemption or non-exemption? I'm talking about exemption. Do you like eating sushi a lot? That is one type, one example. Some foodstuffs in a plastic case and wrapped in plastic might not be temperature-controlled food. For foodstuffs which could change because of temperature difference, what would happen? As I mentioned, temperature difference has nothing to do with packaging. Whether something will leak out of the packaging has nothing to do with the form of packaging. Members have positive response to this idea, and I think we can raise this point in the amendment. I hope Mr. Fang is satisfied. So the administration is saying that temperature difference has nothing to do with airtight packaging. Mr. Fang's response? Maybe you need some time. I will speak in the second round. Sit Ho. After I raised the issue with butter last time, I thought about it. The change of state is not just about leaking. It's also concerned with food hygiene. Sometimes plastic bags can slow down the change of temperature of some foodstuffs. For example, milk or small cups of yogurts. If they are placed and sealed in another plastic bag, we can keep them chilled for a longer period. And this is not just about condensed water. So I think we can consider exemption according to temperature difference. I hope the administration can confirm this point. Is the administration considering this point from a food hygiene point of view? Or can we make it more specific, and can we specify food items like sushi, milk, yogurts, etc.? I'm actually talking about foodstuffs affected by temperature. I'm just concerned about food hygiene. What is the administration direction on this front?
Chairman, so we only have the English version at the moment. Now, if a food item is in a chilled or frozen state, then exemption can be granted for such items. And so for food items which must be kept at 4 degrees Celsius and other items, they will be covered. Mr. Low Kwok, thank you. Now, I've listened very carefully to members' questions, and I think I can safely conclude that we're talking about many different types of food items in different states: ice cream, sushi, butter, and many others. And if we study all the food items one by one, then the Bills Committee won't be able to complete its work until a few years later. But I think the concerns are legitimate and justified, because if you don't get these things right, then the public will feel very confused, and they may even feel very angry. And so I think the criteria for exemption must be clearly laid down. We don't want to give rise to very confusing situations. And so, can there be a grace period after the commencement of the bill? And during that period, only warnings will be given. So, in other words, give the retailers and members of the public a period of time to adapt to the new measures. So can this be done? Can we have this administrative arrangement? I think it's important that a grace period be provided, and I believe having a grace period will go a long way to allaying the concerns of the public. So will you consider the idea of a grace period? Yes, Mr. Lam? Mr. Chairman, thank you. No. Now, if the bill is passed, then we will need to carry out publicity. So the legislation won't come into effect till a period of time after the enactment of the legislation. As we're going to provide for an exemption based on packaging, and as we're going to introduce an arrangement with regard to chilled and frozen food items, we definitely need to carry out publicity, and so we will give the public sufficient notice of the commencement of the bill, and before the commencement of the legislation, we'll definitely carry out wide and extensive publicity. Mr. Low, Chairman, yes, public education and publicity are of course important. But the retailers may not be sure as to whether they should be giving out plastic bags free of charge in certain cases. Yes, I understand that you're talking about publicity and education. But what I mean is, before, after the commencement of the legislation, can you provide for a grace period before prosecution action is actually taken? Now, so we'd like to ask the administration when the legislation will take effect. Mr. Lam, we do understand Mr. Low's concerns, but of course if everybody understands the arrangements very well, then we may not need a grace period. But I want to say that when retailers actually need to collect the levy, and if they still aren't certain as to what they should do, then can we first of all give them some advice instead of taking prosecution action immediately? Now, our approach has always been that if they can provide sufficient defense, then will not take enforcement action without giving advice and warning. Mr. Vincent Fang. Yes, Chairman, thank you. I really don't know what the administration is thinking. I think you should have in mind the macro issues, not the minor details. Now, you know, if you provide exemption for non-sealed packaging, then retailers will choose not to seal the packaging. It's so simple. Sushi, butter, ice cream, chilled chicken. There can be many, many other examples. Not for canned food or food items neatly put inside boxes, then I agree that a levy can be imposed, right? Canned food and food items contained in or neatly contained in boxes, of course, there shouldn't be an exemption if a plastic bag is obtained. But for cases other than those, I think there should be an exemption. Now, you should look at which factor is more important. Now, the levy has brought down the use of plastic bags by 60, 70, or even 80%. I think you're already very successful. Why is it that we have to consider different food items one by one? Why is it that you are being so petty? Why is it that you don't mind causing nuisance to people? No wonder why people feel so aggrieved and unhappy. And I would like to make one more point. In fact, we've told the administration many times that shopping bags should be recovered and recycled. And the administration has been giving us many, many reasons for not doing so. Now, if members of the public, retailers, supermarkets are willing to use these recovered and recycled plastic bags, then is a levy payable for such a bag? Yes, Chairman, I think I'll address the second point. Now, I want to say that concerning the recycling bins, there is one recycling bin for plastic, different types of plastic products, including plastic shopping bags, which are broken and can no longer be used. But of course, we have to make sure that these plastic shopping bags are clean. And then the second point relates to the definition of plastic shopping bags. And I think within the definition, plastic shopping bags cover all types of plastic bags. So in other words, a recycled bag will also come under the definition. So you want to encourage green habits, and yet it seems that you're not really practicing what you preach. So concerning food items, can you look at the matter from another angle? In other words, canned food, food items neatly put in boxes, these can't be exempted. Other food items can all be exempted. Do you know that this will reduce considerably the nuisance caused to members of the public? And do you think that would mean that a lot more plastic bags will be used? Now, you know, every time you propose measures that cause nuisance to members of the public, and you are worried that you don't have enough votes, so you come and lobby us or beg for votes. So can you say something about your policy, Mr. Lam? Now, our policy intention, Chairman, is that people should bring their own bags, and so we will not encourage retailers to distribute plastic bags to customers. We want to encourage customers to bring their own bags, and even if they or these customers decide to obtain plastic bags upon paying a levy, they are also encouraged to reuse these plastic bags. Concerning whether we can grant an exemption to canned food and food neatly packed in boxes, I think that's more or less our thinking. I think he has misunderstood me, Chairman. Can you look at the matter from another angle, right? Canned food and food items packed neatly in boxes, no exemption. And for food items other than these, across the board exemption. Can this be done? So I believe the member is talking about canned food and also airtight packaging. Then they should be exempted. I mean, canned food, food neatly packed in boxes, no exemption. In other words, 50 cents is payable if the customers want a plastic bag. Now, I think this discussion is a meaningful one. In fact, what we are doing in this process of scrutinizing the bill is to look at issues that are close to the heart of people. I think Mr. Vincent Fang, you do understand that it's difficult to really write down in the bill what we are proposing. But I think Mr. Vincent Fang talked about canned food and also airtight boxes. In fact, they do not or they will not get any exemption. But then we are in fact continuing our discussion because we want to minimize the nuisance caused to members of the public. We want to protect the environment. At the same time, we want to protect the quality and the hygiene of the food items. And so it seems that the administration is now willing to err on the more lenient side. So perhaps our legal advisor can give some comments and then members can continue the discussion. Ms. Lee. Now, I think Mr. Vincent Fang was talking about food items. Now, I want to say that in Schedule 2 of the ordinance, the administration proposes that if there is a bag with food or drink or medicine for human consumption, then basically an exemption is granted. But then the administration is willing to go one step further, and that is if for food items like soft drinks, canned food, potato chips, in other words, if the packaging is airtight, then if someone wants to obtain a plastic bag for these items, then a levy will have to be paid. And so with regard to food items, for food items with airtight packaging, neatly packed, then an extra plastic bag should not be required. And so a levy needs to be paid if the customer asks for a plastic bag. But it seems that under Schedule 2 for food items other than canned food and so on and so forth, no levy will need to be paid.
According to the administration, for foodstuffs which are already packaged well, you cannot take another plastic bag to contain them. So are we actually encouraging manufacturers not to package their foods so completely? Right now you can see a lot of foodstuffs, even candies, they are all sealed and packaged really well and in a really tidy manner. So if I go and buy 50 candies, so it's just natural that I should be given a plastic bag, and I have to pay 50 cents for that plastic bag. This is quite inconvenient to the public. I think the administration should consider the approach of not exempting well-sealed items and well-packaged items and exempting everything else. I'm talking about retailers like hawkers. Your policy is very inconvenient. I think members are aware that our general direction is to reduce waste, but we have to draw a line in the bill's amendment stage. As I have explained very clearly, we exempt temperature-controlled items food items. Once we drew this line, we have been clarifying the position on which foodstuffs should be exempted and which should not. I think this line is very clear by now. If we only exclude items like sealed cans, this is another line altogether. I think the public would have something to say about this. We understand Mr. Fang's comments. The general idea is to encourage the public to bring their own bags. We might cause some inconvenience, but ultimately the goal is to bring more convenience to people's lives, and our objective ultimately is to reduce waste. Mr. Fang, hang on a minute. Our legal counsel have something to say. Ms. Lee? We've been talking about LCB bracket 1223/13214 bracket 02. As you might all remember, Mr. Fang raised similar concerns during the last meeting. And he quoted the example of hawkers selling candies. Some candies might be wrapped, some might be not. And the hawkers have to weigh all the candies in order to know how much price to charge. So in this case, should this plastic bag be exempted? We can look at Schedule 2, Item 4A. We have to look at whether the plastic bag is specifically designed for that product. And we discussed this issue in detail last time. As I remember, the administration's response was to link the purpose of the plastic bag with that particular product. We had some discussions on this front. So can the administration clarify the issue of item D? In the provision, we have not defined what is meant by specifically designed. We need to know whether the plastic bag is specifically designed for that type of food. Are we going to exempt this kind of plastic bag? And if not, what are the grounds? If each candy is individually sealed and wrapped, according to Schedule 2, if this food item is already sealed in airtight packaging, the corresponding PSB cannot be exempted. Can the administration clarify this issue? Item 1D is concerned with food hygiene. And 1E is on something else, and these two items are not related. And these two items have nothing to do with the exemption under the grounds that the packaging is specifically designed for the product. Can you make yourself clear? If a candy seller sells 50 candies and they weigh the candies. So in this case, does the customer have to pay 50 cents for that plastic bag? This is not a hypothetical scenario. This is a real example. If you go to the market, if you visit a hawker and buy 50 sealed candies, and do I have to pay 50 cents for a plastic bag to hold these 50 candies? You're just going round and round and not answering my question. Let me try to further clarify this question. In this scenario, is this plastic bag considered to be specifically designed for that food products? I want to clarify that this is not about the purpose of the bag. It's about the design of the bag. Well, don't talk about the design. Just tell me whether you will charge 50 cents for this bag. We still have time, so let's take our time. I will give you some time to elaborate. I don't have any experience of buying candies in the markets, but I can consult my colleagues. Chairman, I asked my colleagues what the situation is. Some candy sellers would adopt a special bag for weighing the candies. In this case, customers won't have to pay for the bag, for the plastic bag, because this example is similar to supermarkets. This practice reflects the way hawkers conduct business. So the answer is no, customers won't have to pay for this plastic bag. I've said so many times, and the government is still taking us around in circles and not answering the question. If I have a plastic container for my fruits or vegetables, if they are wrapped in plastic, if there is any water leakage, would I still have to pay for that plastic bag? Or is the government administration saying that if there is leakage of water, you would have to pay? So are you telling the sellers to poke a few holes in the packaging so that water would leak out and their food can be exempted? If you go to the supermarket, a lot of food are contained in paper containers. If the packaging is not completely sealed, they cannot be exempted. But if you poke a few holes in the packaging so that water would leak out, you're saying that this would be exempted. Is this the case? Well, if this is the case, I will ask all the supermarkets to poke holes in their food packaging so that they can be exempted. So why wouldn't the administration fix this legislation so that this would not happen? According to my understanding, you won't have to poke holes. Some foodstuffs would leak out of the packaging anyway. So I don't think retailers would be encouraged to do this, to poke holes. I think retailers would want to avoid troubles, and this is what they would do. think members should consider different scenarios arising from this example. If the original packaging of the foodstuff is very secure and complete, if this packaging is maliciously damaged from a legal viewpoint, there would be consequences. I don't believe that simply by poking holes in the packaging, they would safely and comfortably receive exemption. I think this is one point we should think about. I think most businessmen wouldn't want to damage their own food packaging. But the fact is, they want to avoid troubles. In our last few meetings, we have the same aim, and that is to bring convenience to the public and encourage them to bring their own bags. Our discussions have been very fruitful, and I hope we can clarify different issues one by one. We still have time to look at the wordings of the provisions and amendments from different members. We can still discuss further. Mr. Wong Ting Kwang and Tony Chia. Just now, Mr. Albert Lam and the chairman said the purpose of this legislation is to encourage BYOBs. If we are just serving this purpose, we don't have to make the law so complicated. We can just say that from now on, everyone has to pay for plastic bags when they go shopping. And if you want a bag, you have to pay 50 cents. Why do we make things so complicated? When members mention different foodstuffs like ice cream, sushi, if you have to look at each type of food one by one, you can never have a perfect piece of legislation. If law enforcement is so difficult, the legislation wouldn't be effective. Just now you said you have no experience buying these foodstuffs in supermarkets. You're just living in your own world. And your points would have been pretty pointless. We talked about the issue of temperature difference. It would contaminate the food itself and render it inedible. We would also risk contaminating other items.
When we talk about environmental protection, we don't just look at the use of plastic bags. Environmental protection contains many elements. Wasting food items is not environmental protection. So using less plastic bags is not the only way to achieve environmental protection. So I hope that the Bureau can consider this matter very seriously. Now, I feel very disappointed. You're not. You are harming people's livelihood. You're also harming the interests of the retail sector. It's not a win-win situation. It's a lose-lose situation that you are creating. I think Mr. Vincent Fang has brought to your attention issues or scenarios that we come across in our daily life. Can your bill be exhaustive? Times have changed. When I was a boy, I went to buy Chinese-style fried donut, and the packaging was a piece of old newspaper and a straw. And now, if you go to buy these fried donuts, you'll be given a plastic bag. And we don't know what's going to happen in the future. And so, the legislation should be drafted in a way which can cope with changes in this world. No, they didn't really respond. They just lowered their heads. Yes, thank you, Mr. Tony Chair. Can we have some responses first? Yes, Chairman. Now, I want to say that we are really actively preparing for enforcement action that we will need to take. And of course, before enforcement, there will be publicity and public education. We understand that there will be a lot of enforcement difficulties. We've made reference to overseas experience in the mainland. So we'll be making reference to practices in different places. As to why we've proposed an exemption for food items. In fact, that's a comment that we've received during the public consultation exercise. So the mainstream view is that for food items, there should be special arrangements and there should be different arrangements for different types of food items. Now, I want to say that in the drafting process, we took into account everyday experience. Some colleagues who like snacks might have more first-hand experience than others, and so I just want to respond to such criticisms, which may, in some cases, be a bit unfair. Mr. Tony Chair, yes, I think we giving suggestions so that we can come up with a piece of legislation that will give rise to as little controversy as possible. All right, D contains an item of food. Now, an item, and the Chinese is 某種. Because it seems that the Chinese version seems to suggest a broader scope. And as you know, for candies, some are individually wrapped, some are not. And then medicine is also mentioned. As you know, for medicine, either they are just individual pills, and then second, packets of pills, and then capsules. Right. E, right, airtight packaging. Airtight packaging, all right. Now, say when we go to see a doctor, we get a few packets of pills, and then the nurse may give us one plastic bag. It's like the scenario mentioned by Mr. Vincent Fang, going to the market to buy some candies and then getting a plastic bag. So I just want to know what an item means, and is an item equivalent to 某種 in Chinese. And what about medicine? So there may be a bottle of cough syrup, and then several small packets of pills. These are sealed packets, and then the nurse will put all these in one plastic bag. So I just want to clarify the situation, because I think it's important that we consider all possible scenarios so as to minimize controversy. In fact, during our public hearings and on different occasions, we discussed the issue of medicine. So we want to know the implications of this bill on medicine. Yes, please, can we have a response from the administration, and then our legal advisor may supplement. Or, Mr. Chairman, perhaps I can address the point about an item. In English, an item, because Cap 1 says, in fact, the singular also represents the plural. And in the Chinese version, we don't need to say whether it's one item, two items, so there is no need to have the singular or the plural reflected with a particular character in the Chinese version. So, Chairman, now because there can be different types of food, and I believe the English version also covers different types of food. Now, it doesn't matter, candies, meat, fish, peanuts, so long as it's a food item, then it falls within the definition. I wish to clarify further. So, in other words, is it that basically the English version and the Chinese version mean the same thing? In other words, food items, and medicine. Is that right? Yes, that's the case. What about medicine then? The information on how to consume or use the goods is printed, written, or labeled on the bag. This is because we've taken into account the comment from the medical sector, because there is a need for drug labeling, and the dosage and the usage of the medicine has to be on the bag, right? I think all the questions have been dealt with. And now, may I refer you to the Blue Bill CB 3540/1213. And also you can refer to the marked up copy CB 11171113 let's deal with the amendment to Schedule 3. Chairman, still 50 cents, but then of course we will need to amend the heading. Yes. Schedule 4 then. Schedule 4 now contains prescribed retailers, and there's no need to have this section anymore, and so we're proposing to delete this part. Right, so I believe we've completed clause by clause scrutiny already. Now, members, Mr. Wu Chi-wai has just given us a paper, and I believe the administration needs some time to study the paper. So the next meeting will be held at 10:45 on the 29th of November. And at that meeting, we will deal with CSAs from the administration and from members. So members, if you have CSAs to propose, please give them to the Bills Committee as soon as possible. I understand that the legal advisor would like to say something on a paper from the administration. Yes, Chairman. As members may recall, at the last meeting, members, or rather the administration prepared a paper for members on amendments that Mr. Wu Chi-wai and Ms. Sit Ho have indicated that they would propose. And in the paper, we have the legal considerations of the administration. And last time the paper was tabled, and I've already studied that paper. And do members want me to comment on the paper? Yes. Now, because concerning the so-called dual system, whether some shops should have to keep records and others need not. Yes, I think I'll invite the legal advisor to say something. Now, but I will not be commenting on the CSAs to be proposed by individual members. I'll just give a general response, Chairman. Now, the principle is that like cases should be treated alike. Unlike cases should not be treated alike. So this is the starting point, and this argument or principle is backed by precedent cases, and this principle is of course right. But then we have to look at one more thing, and that is we're talking about like things having to be treated alike. And what is meant by like things? What is meant by like? We need to consider a number of factors. We need to find out the object for comparison purpose. We need to look at all the circumstances in the case. And we also need to look at whether the two things do share common features and characteristics. So we have to, first of all, ascertain whether the two things are the same in nature. And then we look at whether they are being treated alike.
Secondly, once we establish that these subjects are like cases, if they are treated differently, we will look at whether there is a legitimate aim. This is the situation in a nutshell. If members have any CSAs, we can follow this direction. When we talk about the legitimate aim, it must be valid, or something we call around arguments, and this aim should be valid and has enough ground. Thank you very much. Members, please note the legal counsel's explanation. Last time we mentioned a word called constitutionality, which is a serious word. Any response? Sitlow? On the legal counsel's opinion, the government gave us papers on the legal viewpoint. So I want to thank the legal counsel. I hope our own legal advisors should take notes. So that the public won't misunderstand that LegCo agrees to the legal counsel's opinion. But I just want to make it clear that we are doing different things. I don't know if you agree or not, but I think the LegCo's own legal team should draft our own view on this point. This point is well noted, and in fact, this is a practice we have used. If we have no other issues, let's adjourn.